Welcome to our third video in our 6-part series, building the T-Rex 700X Dominator Super Combo Kit. This is the electronics video portion. We'll be installing the electronics into the helicopter. I have out on the bench, which I've taken out, as the tail servo, which is the DS 825M. The 3 servos here are the DS 820M. They operate at 7.4 or 8.4 volts. We have the motor here, which is the BL 850MX. It's a 490 kV motor. The MicroBeast Plus, we're working on page 9 of the manual. We're using parts bag 708Z17. It's right here. And we're using a couple parts from 700HB17A, which I opened earlier. I have some 3M tape, just the painter's tape, and a marker, because I'll be using these items when I get ready to work on the servos. We're going to install the motor mount onto the motor. This is this piece right here. Place the 4 washers on the bolts. The pinion is not going to be installed till after the mount is in place, and you can see that there's actually a flat spot machined onto the motor shaft, and you want to make sure that when you do line this up that one of the set screws ends up on the flat part and the other one's going to go onto the round part. That's the next step. Now, I did not tighten the screw because I'm going to put all 4 in, and then we'll work our way around and tighten them. Now I'm going to go ahead and tighten them into place. Now they're snugged up. Okay, now that we have the motor done, I'm going to set it aside, and we're going to work on page 9 while that sits, and we'll turn around and install the actual Cyclic servos. I'm going to configure the MicroBeast Plus to work with the S-Bus on the Futaba radios. So I'm going to hold the button, plug in the power, the light will flash. I'm going to press and hold. I get flashing purple, that's the first setting. That's for JR. I'm going to press and hold, it's a solid purple, that's a Spectrum satellite. Press and hold. Red is the S-Bus. Next to the other 2 systems if you're using those. Now I'm going to turn around and press once. Light will turn blue. A quick press, because that tells me that the actual receiver, it's reading the information from the radio that it's bound to. Now I'm going to turn around and press and hold. That should deliver a red and blue flashing light, which I have. Now if I press one time, it's confirmed that the settings are there, because you can see the lights flashing back and forth. All the little lights are flashing. So that means that I've actually configured the unit to work with the Futaba radio. So I'm going to unplug the power at this point. Now with the radio on, I'm going to plug back in the power. The system should bind. Initialize. Indicates what version. Now the unit has initialized. Now I'm going to push the button and hold because it's booted. And I want to get into the setup menu, and that's a solid light. So I'm in option A. Option A is the position of the Micro Beast Plus and how it's mounted on the helicopter. I'm not concerned with that right now because I'll take care of that once it's mounted. But I want to go to option B, which is the servo update rate. That's for the Cyclic servos. I need it to be on 200. And you just keep moving the rudder stick until you obtain the color that you need for what the servo requires. I'm going to move to option C, which is the rudder servo center pulse. That's for the tail. It's the default, it's 1520, so that's what this servo requires. So I'm fine there. I'm going to move to option D, which is the servo update rate, and I need 333 as far as the servo is concerned, and that's blue flashing. It's on purple, so I'm going to move the rudder stick, and now I have blue flashing, which is 333. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and exit out of the setup by just continuing to push the button until I end up at the very end of the letters and it boots back up. Now I'm going to unplug the power. I'll turn around and connect the servos, and I'll show you what I do with obtaining as close to neutral as possible with each one of the servos and the servo arms. This is a tail servo. I mark it rudder. I know it's black. I mark it so that this is the rear of the helicopter, so I know the arm is going to fit towards the blue tape. I'm going to find the closest horn to center that I can. And then I'm going to turn around and do the same thing with number 1, which is the elevator. And the elevator itself, I've marked it here, which is 1, here, which is 1, elevator. It's going to sit in the rear of the helicopter, so the horn is going to go here. It goes to that side. Number 2, again marked here. Aileron, when it sits in a helicopter, the arm's going to go to the blue side of the tape. So I'm going to just get the arm as close as possible, 90 degrees to here. And the same thing with number 3. Mark it number 3. On the side here, it's pitch, number 3. And again, when I mount it into the helicopter, the arm's going to go to the blue side, or where the dot is. I've plugged in the servos, and on the Micro Beast Plus, they're numbered 1, 2, 3, so hence the numbers 1, 2, 3, and then 4 is the rudder. So I'm going to plug in power. I'm going to let the unit boot. So I'm going to go ahead and enter the setup parameters by obtaining a solid light. Now I'm going to go to option E because that's first, which is the rudder. So it's A, B, C, D, E. So I'm sitting in E. The servo is now centered. So I'm going to go ahead and place the servo horn on and see which one I can get 90 degrees. It's fairly close. That's pretty dead on. So I'm going to turn around and go ahead and mark right here, a little mark, so I know where I'm at. And that way, when I pull it off to put on the ball, I know which one I'm going to use. So I'm going to set that aside. Now, I want to go to option G, swash, plate, servo, trim. That's 2 clicks down. G's the last one. So now I'm sitting, there's no light. I'm going to move the rudder to the right aileron or channel 1. So I'm going to move the rudder to the right one. The servo bounces, the light turns purple telling me that I'm on servo 1. I'm going to take the horn, and the horn's going to go right here as far as being aligned. So I want to make sure that I can get as close as possible. And I try all 3 of them. You never know. They're identical, but you just never know if something's lined up a little bit different on the servo, which it usually isn't. So that's about as close as I can get to being neutral. So I'm going to go ahead and snap that down so it stays there. Now, the next one that I go to, I should move the servo number 2. And by moving the rudder stick to the right, the servo bounces. Now, I put the tape on here so that I know that the servo arm is going to go to the tape side. And you can see that that's about as close as possible as we're going to get to straight out. Now servo 3, we go ahead and move the rudder stick to the right. The servo bounces. Now I have to have the servo arm go to the tape side, that's why I put it here, so I don't mess up. And it snaps right on there. So I have that arm on there to the tape side. So I'm going to set that down. Now I'm going to exit out of the setup because I don't need to use anything else at this point. Go all the way through. Now I'm back at normal. I'm going to go ahead and unplug the power. Now I'm going to unplug each one of the servos from the unit because I don't need that to be plugged in anymore. I'm going to take the fly barless unit, the Beast Plus, and my receiver, set it over here to the side, turn off the radio. And now I'm going to install the grommets. And the collars are going to go in from the front, so from the top here. On this one, since it's one of the Cyclics, the actual collars, again, are going to go in from the front. For the tail servo, if you flip over, they're actually calling for the collars to go in from the back side. Okay, we're going to go ahead and install the balls on each one of the horns. So I'm going to take the first one, put a little red Loctite on, and since this is number 2 goes on the inside here. Knock it down. Number 3, same situation, goes on the inside. Knock it down. The elevator, which is number 1, that's going to go in the front. Okay, we're going to install the actual ball to the servo horn. I scratched it, so we're going to take the ball, goes on the back side, take the little nut, Red Loctite. Now we have the items mounted. What I'm going to do is go ahead and put the screws in for the 3 servo arms here. So I'm going to take the screwdriver, put a little blue Loctite on. And again, I'm going to set this aside with the screw, because once it's mounted in the helicopter, I get back to the configuration later on. That's when I'll turn around and put the horn back in the right position. But the most important part was I have the right horn as far as being straight up or at 90 degrees away from the helicopter. On page 9, I'm going to attach the servos to the frame. So I'm going to work with number 1, which is the elevator. And the elevator is going to go here. Remember the actual metal grommets are there. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm just getting the screws started. I'm not tightening them down yet because I want to get all 4 in. Now I'm snugging up the screws. There we go. Number 1's in place. Now we're going to go to number 2. I'm going to snug each one of these up. Number 2's in place. Now we're going to do number 3. Snug them up. So all the servos in place other than the tail. So we're now going to flip it from page 9 to page 10. So on page 10 we're going to put the tail servo in. Now we're going to mount the rear servo. So the rear servo is going to go right in here, slides in. It's a nice case it's made, and this also is going to protect the wire because you don't have it running anyplace as far as across carbon fiber. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but what I'm going to do is place the servo down here, get each one of the screws set up correctly, put a little blue Loctite on each one. Okay, I'm pressing the little carbon fiber piece right up against the hole so that when I push the screw, actually, let's try again. Screw through the carbon fiber piece. Go ahead and come through the top. So I'm going to gently hold it with a pair of needle nose pliers. I'm going to tighten down all four. Okay, that's tight. Okay, we're ready to finish the final step on page 10 of electronics and install the motor mount with the motor. First thing I'm going to do is turn around and take the pinion, and I'm going to put it Loctite on the set screw. And I'm going to line up. You see the flat spot is straight towards me. I'm going to screw this down so that it's snug up against the flat spot. And you can tell it's snug because if you hold the motor, it's not going to move. So you hold it, turn here, it's not moving, you're on the flat spot. I didn't snug it up that tight, because you're going to have to loosen it once you've put it into the helicopter. Now I don't know where it's going to, if it's going to slide down further towards the end of the shaft or be up a little bit closer, but I've just got it in there snug because I'll loosen this screw and then I'll slide it down a little bit once I mounted it, because that's what it's calling for the instructions right here. It says tighten, but don't tighten too hard because you're going to let them loose so that the pinion rests on the actual bearing. So I'm going to bring the helicopter body back. I'm going to keep the flat space to the right of the helicopter. And then I can rotate the motor afterwards to turn around and tighten this one once I loosen everything. Drop it into place. I'm going to attach the bracket. So I have them snug, not tight yet. Okay, what I'm gonna do now is I've loosened the screw here. I'm gonna push the pinion down onto the bearing block, and I'm gonna tighten. I'm gonna rotate back, tighten the other screw, rotate back, tighten the screw, rotate back, tighten the screw, the locking screw, and now the pinion's on there in the right place. I'm gonna turn around, and we're on page 11 now. That's the wiring. So I'm going to run all the wires. It's pretty self-explanatory. They run on the inside, so that everything's inside the frame, and it's zip tied down. But I do a couple tricks with the actual wires so that the wire zip tie, as far as on the wire, doesn't wear or is not rubbing up against the frame. But I get it all wired, then I'll take some nice pictures of it so you can see where I zip tied, where I put the coating over the wire, and what I used after I'm completely done. So it'll take me a little bit to do that, and then I'll turn the camera back on after I'm finished. And I've gone ahead and finished the wiring. One of the things that I do is I take this Velcro strap ties, and they're very thin, they're for inside wires, and I cut myself just a little small piece to length so that I can turn around and wrap it over the wire. So I might cut a little piece off if it's a single wire about this long, and then what I'll do is I turn around and wrap it around the wire with the fuzzy side in, and then every place that I put a zip tie, the zip tie goes on the material itself. That allows me to be able to, when it's snug, not tight, but snug, I can pull the wire a little bit either way to get it lined up just right. And then once I snug it down, the zip tie is actually on the material, and the wire's not up against the frame, and the zip tie is not digging into the actual material as far as the wire goes. So that's one of the tricks that I do. It works out real well. I did find something out, is that there actually is a place in the directions for putting a zip tie right behind this plate. So I would suggest not putting the plate on because you have to take it off in order to get the zip tie on this side of the pinion, and the other one on this side of the pinion you can actually get in without having it off. But I just did them both when the metal piece was off on both sides. So that might be something that you want to wait on. So that's the wiring job. I don't know if you can see or not, but we'll take a look. Hopefully you can. I'm I went ahead and followed the directions on page 11 and zip tied all the wires so they're inside. And so the wires are in there, so hopefully you can see them. And I'm going to mount the Beast Plus here on the front, in the one that's marked number 1 right here. The next video is going to be number 4 in the 6-part series, and that will be the tail assembly. So I look forward to you watching that. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Enterprise Hobby, and also like us on Facebook. Thank you.